What's up, you guys? So real quickly before I get into the rest of the video today, this is DTX7. For any of you guys on the channel that are interested in like working out or into fitness or anything like that, this is DTX7. It's a supplement that you can take with working out. It's completely natural. It's made from like trace minerals, amino acids. It's just in a really high concentrated form. It just helps to overall boost your workout and energy feelings and your just performance overall. If you guys would be interested in purchasing this product or a little bottle of it, or just finding out any more information about the product and the company DTX, be sure to click the link in the description down below, as well as follow my good friend Juan Johnson on Instagram. You can also shoot him a DM right over there, and he can tell you more information about the product as well if you guys would be interested in adding one of these into your workouts. Links for everything will be in the description box down below. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. What's up, guys? How's it going? So real quickly, I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on my car. So as you guys saw from the previous video, the water pump actually failed on my car. As of right now, I am still waiting on the water pump to be shipped in the mail to my house, and from there I will be installing that. So hopefully this Monday or Tuesday my car should be back up and running. As of now, as you guys can see, I'm in a different car. It's actually a Honda Accord, which is much more reliable and dependable than my 335i. I can definitely say that. But yeah, hopefully guys, my car will be back up and operational by this upcoming week. So definitely looking forward to that as well. Anyway guys, getting straight into the video today. BMW N55 versus B58 engines. What are the key differences? What are these engines all about? Let's talk a little bit more about them. So not too long ago, just about a year and a half ago or so, BMW unveiled the B58 engine, which is basically the new engine to replace the N55, and they're phasing out the N series of engines with, in favor of the new B series family. So what are the main differences about these cars and their engines, specifically concerning the B58 motor? So I actually have an article on my phone right here. It's from uwheel.com, and they're a pretty credible website when it comes to car stuff, as well as internals and how engines work and stuff like that. So I'm going to be talking about basically starting off with the big main differences between the two engines, and then from there I'm going to delve into some of the more minor variances and changes in these engines, and basically tell you guys which one I think is the better of the two. So let's get started. So first up, there are two main differences between the B58 and the N55 motors. The biggest ones are, first off, the fact that the B58 is actually a closed deck design engine versus an open deck design from the N55. And the fact that the B58 uses a water-to-air intercooler system, whereas the N55 and even the N54 previously used a much simpler air-to-air intercooler system. So getting into the first key difference, which is the closed deck design. Now, for starters, a closed deck design is generally better when it comes to the overall structural integrity and strength of the motor as a whole, because of the fact that it is a closed deck versus an open deck. The block itself is a lot stronger, according to this article and to my reading. However, when it comes to the overall heat management and weight, this is where it's a bit of a drawback. So the B58 motor actually becomes a little bit heavier because of the fact that it's a closed deck design, and cooling is a lot harder as well because there's a restriction when it comes to the amount of coolant flow that's running through the engine versus an open deck design. Cooling can be aided much faster. The closed deck design is pretty good though when it comes to overall performance, and the fact that if you want a high horsepower outputting engine, a closed deck design is going to be the way to go. So BMW implementing the B58 motor with a closed deck design is quite interesting. And the S55, which is the motor in the M3 and the M4 of the F80 generations, is also a closed deck design as well. So when it comes to high performance, closed deck is generally the way to go. Getting into the next key difference, which is the air to liquid intercooler. Now, basically, according to this article, and I quote, "Almost all serious high-performance turbo engines use air-to-liquid intercoolers because it is more effective and more stable. This is exactly the same for the B58. Now the B58, like it says in the article, features an air-to-water intercooler system, which definitely helps with the overall airflow, and the new intercooler is actually integrated into the intake plenum of the car as well. It's no longer in the front mount, you know, like behind the front bumper anymore. One of the key advantages to this is the fact that it enables a much shorter travel from air from the turbos directly into the engine. The air stays cooler longer, the pressure stays a lot higher for the air itself, and therefore, in theory, you get more power essentially. Now, as far as any drawbacks, well, you can't really upgrade the intercooler as far as I know, and especially due to the fact that it's integrated into the intake manifold or the intake plenum itself, it becomes kind of a hard workaround as well. So it's not as easy to just swap it out as like an air-to-air intercooler like in the N55 and just upgrade it, but for the most part this new intercooler is pretty powerful, and definitely I know a lot of tuners and aftermarket company solutions are going to figure out workarounds to this or figure out how to enhance the system overall. Now, as I stated before, the closed deck design definitely brings an issue when it comes to the overall heat management of the car, and that's really one thing that it seems like BMW has addressed with the B58. And because of that, they have implemented a heat management module dedicated to managing the heat essentially on the B58 motor. Now, what I mean by this is the fact that BMW actually has a dedicated water pump that is mechanical and is ran by the serpentine belt of the car. So woohoo, no more failing water pumps hopefully, but they also do have a backup electric pump to cool the turbo for when the engine shuts off if need be. So I think that's pretty interesting, the fact that it kind of has like two water pumps essentially, but it's pretty nice that BMW resorted to the, you know, much more reliable version of the mechanical water pump, and hopefully this will eliminate a lot of those failures. In addition to that, the turbocharger on the B58 is still a single twin scroll turbo. However, according to this article, compared to the unit on the N55, the B58 turbocharger has a 6% larger turbine, and the compressor wheel diameter is also 10% larger. Therefore, the B58 gains 20% overall in boost pressure. So there is a bigger single twin scroll turbo essentially in the B58 motor as well. And generally, the bigger the turbo, the more power you make. It's pretty simple when it comes to those terms, which I think is pretty interesting as well. And if you get the M Performance package on the 340i, that actually bumps the power to about 355 horsepower and 370 pound-feet of torque from the factory, which is definitely a substantial increase from the 300 on the N55 motor as well. Now, one of the big things with the N54 engine was the fact that this motor was actually quite strong, and the fact that it actually had forged components in the internals, and that the N55, you know, resorted back to normal iron and stuff like that, you know, a cast iron system, you know, to save on cutting costs, and it wasn't as good. Well, on the B58, the crankshaft and the connecting rods are actually forged on the motor due to the fact that it is an inline design and needs those internal components to be strong. So overall, with the fact that those two components are forged, the closed deck design, this is a very strong, high performance oriented motor. I think this thing can definitely handle a ton of power. I'm really curious to see how tuners are going to respond to the B58. Actually, as of now, I believe on one of the N54 forums that I was reading, the current B58 power holder is some guy, I don't know where he's located, but I think his 340i makes around like 563 wheel horsepower, and that's with an upgraded single turbo and some other tuning stuff and upgraded fuel system. But overall, you guys, it's pretty interesting to see where this motor is going to go in the next few years with the tuners and stuff. Obviously, we haven't seen, you know, N54 levels of power, but for the most part, no one, you know, a very, very small percentage of people are actually trying to achieve 800 to 900 horsepower. If you have a B58 that's producing 500 wheel horsepower, you have a pretty damn fast car from the get-go, and I think a lot of people, that's where they're going to stop. You know, certain stuff seems to be much less upgradable and much less tuner-friendly with the engine, but I think given enough time, tuners are going to crack all this stuff, and we're going to see some pretty fast B58s hauling through the streets. So overall, I think it's a welcome change and definitely a nice, great addition to the new BMW cars overall. It sounds great, very similar to the N55. It's fast, it's a strong motor. So I think it'll be pretty exciting to see where this goes. We'll just have to see about the reliability. Obviously, that's the biggest thing with all these motors. but overall, I'm pretty excited about it, so it gets a thumbs up from me. Anyway, you guys, I hope you guys did enjoy this video overall. If you did, be sure to leave a big thumbs up on this video, as well as subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. And hopefully I'll get my water pump fixed soon. I hope you guys are doing great, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Later, guys.